I don't like people who are easily excitable. That's a through line throughout my entire life. I know exactly what it is. And that's the other thing too. All of our political ideologies, the way we at least digest and distill all the political, cultural things that happen in our world and how we interpret them, have only to do with how we were raised and our relationship with our parents. Those first 15, 18 years of your life will inform how you respond to the challenges and general operation of politics in our world today. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with like 100 million people. It felt like it was my mom. First, it was just me and my mom, like a normal. Well, my father was in jail, but then my aunt got evicted from her apartment, so then she moved in, and then she had a kid, and then she had another kid. And then my mom had a kid. And then my aunt also had another kid who was older, but then he moved in because he was living at my grandma's house. And then my mom remarried, and that guy had 2. It was they weren't there all. It was a lot of motherfuckers, and there was a lot of arguing, a lot of yelling, a lot of arguing over bullshit, over who. Hey, where's the Wild Wild West VHS tape? I left it right here. Where's the Wild Wild West VHS tape? We loved Wild Wild West. This family of Black Islanders, light skinned Will Smith doing his thing. That was on 147th and Lenox. That was a popular film. So all that to say, the result of that for me in my adult life is that I don't like petty grievances. I don't like petty squabbles. I've emotionally muted myself. My threshold for getting aggravated and like animated in the way that it seems like most people are these days is very high. Like you really got to go out of your way to cross my shit line, politically and culturally. And that's not because that doesn't mean nihilism. That doesn't mean I don't care. That doesn't mean I like shut down. We have a war. Lower our shields and surrender your ships. But I really I need to know that it matters and that there's something that can be done and that there's an action to take. If it's just like, oh my God, old rich white men are starting another war, what are we gonna do? I'm not gonna have that conversation with you. It bores me. It does nothing. We live in a fascist totalitarian. Okay, so are you gonna strap up? Are you going to do a Punisher montage suit up scene where you're going to get some straps and some Velcro and some buckles and some bow and arrow, and you're going to go fight? You're going to go indulge in political violence? No, you're not, and I don't condone that, and I don't think that's a good idea. So, if your only goal is just to sort of stew in this maelstrom of confusion, I'm out. And I think that's a challenge with for sure our generation, sort of elder millennials, but Gen Z, they were raised in this reactive environment. Like Gen Z, here's the difference. Going back to parents, elder millennials and millennials, when mommy and daddy would fight culturally and politically, we would hear them, but when we walked into the room, they'd be like, God damn it, I'm gonna hello, Deval. Yes, we're gonna go to the amusement park. It's fine. Dad doesn't have a job. It's fine. Again, my dad was in jail, so that's a fictional situation. So, culturally and politically, our leaders would try to fight behind the scenes, so we didn't see how ugly politics really is. Now, Gen Z, they were raised in the era where mommy and daddy, politically and culturally, they just have at it in front of the kids. Like, well, fuck you, and God, I'm gonna smash this. Like John Goodman and Roseanne, whenever they would argue, and he would flip over a table in the studio audience and be like, oh, and be very quiet. So now Gen Z has been normalized to that. So their default is like, well, fuck it. And that's why they're so emotional and easily seduced by rhetoric that is emotional. So like Zoran Mamdani, he has horrible policies, but he smiles and makes him feel good, so that's why they voted for him. Nick Fuentes, like he says what like frustrated white dudes feel in certain parts of the country, so they're like, yeah, he's speaking the truth, even though it's like whatever. I don't feel like talking about Nick Fuentes, but you get my point. I hope. And that's where this leaves us. And again, I think the responsibility of elder millennials is to be the mommy and daddy of culture. Ooh, Val, we're cooking right now. To be the mommy and daddy of culture that Gen Z needs and we never had for ourselves in many ways. We had it to a degree, but I think as elder millennials, as we've gotten older, we realize that our parents had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. We're like, wait a minute, you are a fucking idiot. I love you, but you're stupid. So again, culturally, we have to be the ones who are like, I know this seems horrible, and it is, and it could get a lot worse, but it does nothing for us to go, hey, you know what we should do about this? Let's go scream in the street at other strangers who disagree with us. That ought to get meaningful policy passed. Like that just makes you feel good, which is understandable. But if we really want to engage in conduct that's going to evolve the conversation, evolve policy and the way we treat each other, it has to be done from a place of emotional indifference. We have to look at the cold, hard facts of issues. And that's why, look, I don't like Zoran Mamdani's policies, but I'm not remotely interested in getting involved in the like, he's a jihadist or I don't give a fuck. If for no other reason than his policies and the empirical data that you can associate with his policies and his actions are enough. We can just sit there and say, yeah, this is going to hurt lower class and minority New Yorkers. This is going to only benefit a small group of people. And we can limit the conversation to that. And I mean that emphatically, that we have to figure out, we have to get out of the politics of demonizing or deifying people. Trump, isn't that what people call him sometimes? I don't know. Trump is not Hitler or Satan. He's a classically amoral individual who has no moral compass whatsoever. So when you allow yourself to digest his actions through the prism of morality, you're already set up to fail. And I think he knows that. I think he knows he's dealing with an emotionally excitable culture, which is why he is so good at being so ubiquitous and influential, at least at the beginning of his first term. We're starting to see that wane for good reasons. But I always told people, stop reacting. It's not that like you're letting him win if you don't react. He wants you to react. That's how he manipulates the media to his favor. People say he's dumb, he doesn't know anything. He's not. He does. He's a smart guy as it relates to demagoguery and media, So I genuinely encourage people, whether it's Trump or anyone else or any other situation, take a deep breath, step back. Don't let your immediate knee-jerk reaction be the first thing that you tweet, post, yell about, or hang on to. And just really think about, okay, here's where we are. Where do I want to be? And what are the actions that need to take there? What actions do we need to take in order to get there? And I guarantee very few of them involve going out to Washington Square Park and yelling at people. It just doesn't. This is not 1963. The government, our government, just like in the middle of the night, attacked another sovereign nation again because they wanted to. The days of them being afraid of like bad public opinion are over. So what they're not expecting are cool, level-headed people organizing and utilizing the mechanisms and tools that we have at our disposal for now in this currently democratic apparatus that we live in. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, it just really disheartens me when like I talk to my friends who I love, but they're just like so like, did you see the new files? Did you see the new? It's like, it's not helping anything for you to be this upset or to be in a constant state of anger. It's just not. And if anything, it serves the powers that be for you to be in a constant state of anger, because they can manipulate that. They can shape the narrative relative to that. If we're all a bunch of Vulcans who are saying, it is highly illogical for us to strike the Iranian regime without having a long-term plan of regime change and building a coalition to help us support. And like they're just not expecting that, but they know we're not going to, because our brains are operating on a low road, a reactionary low road that we have evolved past, but unfortunately we're slipping back into. So, all that to say, just a little off the dome rant about emotion and as it relates to politics. Like, I'm not telling you you're wrong to feel what you feel. I'm not. I get it. I understand the feeling. But for me, having grown up in a very, very volatile, violent neighborhood, 147th and Lenox, violent household, mom's drunk ex-boyfriend kicking in the door in the middle of the night, my stepfather having to draw his service weapon to almost blow his brains out, and I look up at him, and I look at him in that moment, and I realize he's wearing a fanny pack and purple jeans, my stepdad. That was the craziest part of it. It's a true story. Yeah, I grew up in violence, and I took away from that. But for a long time, that was me. I was, yeah, fuck you. But as I've tried to evolve emotionally and spiritually, and I'm not condescending. I evolved emotionally and spiritually because all my friends and lovers and girlfriends left me. So I had a lot of time on my hands. Yeah, when life fucks you, you got to decide whether or not you're going to keep getting fucked or try to change the narrative. So all that to say, deep breaths, guys, because us yelling at each other and at them, whoever them is to you, it ain't going to do it. It ain't going to put you where you want to be. So, what do I know?